everything should be going now. All right, well, welcome. Welcome to this 60-minute practice. Happy Thursday and almost weekend. We are going to take things pretty slow tonight with a flow that's focused on the legs and the hips. We're going to begin with legs up the wall. Before you get into that position, grab a set of blocks or a towel, pillow, blanket, something that you can roll up and use to support you in some of the postures that I'll offer you in just a little bit. Pull your mat up close to a wall if you have one, or a chair, anything that you can use to rest your legs on. And then let's get started. So we'll sit up nice and close to the wall here, lying back on our mat as we bring the legs up, relaxing the heels against the wall and just letting the blood start to drain down toward the hips. You can bring your left hand to your heart and your right hand to your belly, starting to bring your awareness and all of your focus to the breath. Take slow inhales through the nose and even slower exhales out through the lips. As you feel the blood draining down the legs, we start to feel our feet, ankles, our toes, everything start to get a little bit numb. That blood starts to settle in the hips, nourishing this area. And so our work here is to be present and to use our inhales and our exhales to ground us to our mat, to our practice. So all of our focus goes towards slowing down the inhale, filling the lungs completely. And on the exhale, releasing every last bit of stale air, controlling the expansion of your diaphragm to match the pace of your inhale. Start to set an intention for your practice here, dedicating the next 60 minutes on your mat to perhaps a mantra or an affirmation, something that you'd like to develop in your practice perhaps. We'll seal that intention here with 7 deep and cleansing breaths, in through the nose and out through the lips. On your exhales, creating an H-A, ha, sigh it out. And as you release that breath, also release any tension that you're holding on to. So no matter what it is that you're struggling with right now in your life, maybe you've got some challenges, maybe you're just really busy and tired, maybe you've had some kind of relationship issues, whatever is going on, we're going to leave that aside and allow these next 60 minutes to be about our body and about our practice. We're going to let ourselves just be, letting go of that responsibility of having to problem solve and plan. Still noticing how our body is moving with the breath. Take at least 3 more breath cycles in this posture, breathing slowly and exhaling just as slowly. Optionally, you can pull away from the wall and complete these next poses without it, but I like to use the wall as my prop. Helps you to kind of take that strain off the legs so you don't have to work as hard to get into these poses. So we're going to find a figure 4 shape. For this one, depending on your flexibility, you might need to push away from the wall just a little bit, and then bend both knees, bringing the thighs towards your chest a little bit. we'll bring this right foot on top of the left thigh and start to send this right leg away from us. The right knee away from us. We send the right knee toward the wall, amplifying the stretch that we feel in the pose. Again, you don't have to use the wall here. You could just use your fingers and interlace them behind the left thigh, hugging both legs in toward the chest. Take at least 3 breath cycles here in this figure 4 shape or modified pigeon using the wall. At the end of that 3rd breath cycle, as you release your exhale, bring the right foot back toward the wall. Other side, left foot coming on top of the right thigh, figure 4 shape. Again, we send this knee toward the wall, amplifying the stretch in the pose. Maybe you're tight in this area and right away you're starting to hold the breath, or maybe starting to hold tension in the jaw or in between the eyebrows. Release any tension that you're holding with your exhale. Remember, your breath is your tool, and so when it gets a little uncomfortable in these poses, we use that breath to help us get through them. Take 2 more breaths here. And then release your left foot back toward the wall. Next, we'll take a butterfly using the wall once more. So the bottoms of the feet touch and we allow the knees to open, reaching toward the wall. You can allow the feet to slide down the wall or stay up a little higher, whatever feels good to your body. Wherever you are, make sure that you're not straining and you're relaxed in the pose. Maybe even tucking the chin toward the chest so that you can maximize how much of your spine is connected to the mat. Take 3 more breath cycles here in this butterfly pose. And then we use our hands on the outsides of our thighs to gently bring the knees together. Slowly start to rock over toward the right or left, doesn't matter. We want to come into a seated position. So from this seated position, we're going to cross this right leg over the left, bending the right knee. We come to stack this right knee on top of the left. This is our half shoelace and we can stay here, or we can bend the left knee, coming into a full shoelace pose. Again, the goal being to stack this right knee over the left. On your inhale, allow your head, the crown of your head, to reach up toward the sky. On your exhale, maybe you release the chin toward the chest, elongating the spine. Optionally, you can walk the hands forward and just melt the chest over the legs. Option to bring a block underneath the forehead if you're here with this forward fold. Take 3 more breaths wherever you are. And then you start to walk the hands back at the end of those 3 breaths. If you were in that forward fold, come back to that seated position. We'll straighten both legs and switch sides. Bending the left knee, crossing the left foot over the right leg. Start to walk that left foot over toward the right hip, stacking this left knee over the right. Option to take full shoelace pose, bending the right knee as well. Get nice and tall, belly button pulls in toward the spine. And then on the exhale, if you did so on the other side, start to fold forward. Taking a forward fold, melting over the legs. Try to keep both sit bones on the mat. I know that left sit bone wants to lift from the earth. Send it back down. Taking 2 more breaths here before you come out of that forward fold or out of your shoelace pose. And then we come upright, straightening both legs. Here we'll bend both knees. We come to bring the right foot on top of the left thigh, just like we did against the wall. Only this time we're going to start to cradle the right leg into our arms. So the right knee is going to come to the right elbow and the right foot to the left elbow. We hug this right leg in toward our chest, maybe rocking it gently and slowly left to right. Just wiggling into that right glute and piriformis. Releasing tension from the right hip. Try not to allow the lower back to curve here. Keep it nice and straight. And then release the right foot to the mat. Other side. First bringing the left foot on top of the right thigh. Staying here if that's enough for you, or cradling the left leg in the arms. Again, rocking gently left to right with that left leg. Couple more breaths here. And then gently release. Left foot comes back to the mat. We'll come onto our knees. Finding a peaceful warrior, we're going to allow the toes to remain touching as the knees separate mats with distance. Send the hips back down toward the heels and relax your forehead onto the mat. If your hips are really tight, you can modify by bringing a block underneath the forehead here in this pose. Now with your forehead connected to the earth or to a block, you're able to allow yourself to once again feel grounded. Allow the earth to absorb any negative thoughts, any worries, any fears. Palms face down on the earth so you can leave anything that doesn't serve you here. We keep reaching our hips toward the ankles, allowing them to get a nice opening here. Start to lift your forehead, walk hand over hand toward the right side, leaving the hips where they are, and release your forehead back down toward the mat. We start to feel the left side of our body, our left rib cage, getting a nice stretch. That left shoulder stretching and opening here as well. Option to bring that left hand on top of the right, interlacing the fingers of the left hand on the right hand. keep reaching the left hip down toward the left heel, allowing your inhales to create more space along the left side of your body. Take 2 more breaths here, yogis. And then on your inhale, start to lift your forehead, walk hand over hand toward the left. And then release back down, forehead to the mat. Keep reaching your right hip down toward the right heel, allowing the entire right side body to open up. On your inhales, creating space along that right side rib cage and shoulder. Option to bring the right hand on top of the left and releasing the fingers. Take 2 more breaths here, yogis. On your next inhale, start to lift the forehead, walk hand over hand back towards center and release the forehead back down. Here we bend the elbows, bringing the palms of the hands together. The thumbs come toward the back of our neck. Option to walk those elbows up just a little bit to elongate the spine, but still reaching the hips down toward the heels, allowing the stretch in our shoulders and back. Deep breath in. Exhale, release. Two more breaths here, yogis. We're going to start to move into a tabletop position, bringing the hands back to the mat. We'll inhale up, flat spine. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders and the knees underneath the hips. Taking a few cat-cow breathing cycles here, at least 5. Drop the belly on your inhale, lift the hips up high, eye gaze looking up. On the exhale, press the earth away, belly button in toward the spine, chin tucks toward the chest, cat pose. And start to move with your own breath, making the inhales and these back bends for cow last as long as your breath. And on your exhales, really pressing the earth away, allowing the shoulder blades to spread away from the spine. At the end of those cat-cow cycles, come back to a neutral spine. Walk the hands over toward the right side. Knees stay exactly where they are. We press both hands firmly into the mat, eye gaze looking back behind us in the same direction as our feet. On your inhale, feeling the left side of your body opening up. On your exhale, sending the left hip toward the left side of your mat. On the next inhale, walk the hands back towards center and then over toward the left side. Press your hands firmly into the mat, eye gaze looking back behind you. Really pressing the right hand especially into the earth and sending that right hip toward the right side of our mat here. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, release. Bring it back toward the center of your mat, coming back to your tabletop. Reach that right hand high, eye gaze follows. On your exhale, release the right arm underneath the left shoulder, right ear coming down to the earth. Thread the needle pose. We keep our hips stacked over the knees in one line. We don't want to allow ourselves to slide forward or to go backward. Option to bring the left arm behind you, wrapping it, taking a half bind, fingers reaching toward that right thigh hip crease. Deep breath in. Exhale. One more breath cycle here. And then we release, bringing the left hand below the left shoulder, unthreading the right arm, reach it up high one more time, and then release that right hand to the mat. Other side, inhale the left hand high, thread the left arm under the right shoulder, left ear coming down to the earth. Option to reach that right arm behind you, the fingers reaching for the inside of that left thigh hip crease. Keep the hips stacked over the knees. Deep breath in. Still filling our lungs completely with air, even though we're in this position that makes it a little bit more difficult to breathe. Right hand is going to release back down below the right shoulder. We'll press into the earth as we reach that left hand high, and then tabletop. Come back down onto your bottom. Send your legs out in front of you. Scoot down on your mat. So here we're going to take a supported bridge pose. And so this is why I asked you to grab a block or a pillow or some kind of towel that you can roll up and place underneath your tailbone. So what we're going to do here is lie back on the mat, leaving the knees bent. Bring the feet underneath your knees. The feet should be about hips width distance apart. And then as we lift our hips into our bridge, we really want to engage the glutes, protecting the lower back, making sure the knees are not spreading to the left or right. We start to slide that block, maybe a book, pillow, whatever we've got underneath our tailbone. So we start to feel this gentle tugging on the lower pelvis, or on the lower spine and pelvis. Hopefully this feels good to you here. Otherwise, you can lower the height of the prop that you're using. Maybe just roll it into a little bit of a thinner or flatter pile if you're using a towel. And so we're going to take a few breaths here. You can tuck your chin toward your chest, really pressing the back of your neck toward the mat. And if it feels painful at all, maybe play around with where that block or that pillow is, where that towel is, whatever you're using, making sure that you feel supported here, but that you're still feeling that gentle tug on the pelvis. Take at least 5 deep breaths here. Slow inhales through the nose and slower exhales out through the lips. You should still have about 2 more breaths here. Remind yourself that you are safe, that you are exactly where you should be. Remind yourself of all the ways in which you are blessed and taken care of, allowing those worries to start to become small when compared to those things that you have to be grateful for. So when we come out of this pose again, I'm going to remind you to engage the glutes so that we don't hurt our lower back. Start to press the feet into the earth, leading with the hips up toward the sky. Just lift enough to slide that block or book or whatever you've got out from underneath you. And then we'll windshield wiper the legs, leaving the knees bent. We let the knees fall toward the left and toward the right, moving slowly or quickly, whatever feels better to you. Coming back to that neutral position, bring the knees in toward the chest, find wind removing pose, rocking left to right. Release just your left leg out straight. Keep your fingers interlaced on the right shin, drawing it down toward the body, and then bringing the right knee above the right underarm. Squeeze tightly, massaging the ascending colon here. One more breath. On your exhale, squeezing a little tighter, adding gentle pressure to deepen this opening. And then we're going to take a reclined spinal twist from here. Bringing the left hand on the outside of the right thigh, gently start to draw that right leg across the body. Right arm can reach out straight, or we can bend the right elbow, creating a goalpost with that right arm. We want to roll onto our left hip. Option to bring a block or a pillow underneath that right leg. So we can relax completely here for at least 3 breaths. Eye gaze can look up toward the sky, or we can bring the eye gaze past that right shoulder. Continuing this twist all the way through the cervical spine. Whenever we take a twist in yoga, we start to build up heat, a purifying heat that helps to rid our body of toxins. Release, coming back into that reclined position, both knees bent. Draw them in toward the chest when removing pose. Squeezing a little tighter than you did before, maybe hugging opposite wrists or opposite forearms. We release the right leg out straight, interlacing the fingers over the left shin. Start to draw the left knee down toward the earth and to hover over the left underarm. We use our inhales to create space in the left hip and our exhales to gently draw that left knee down further toward the earth. The more that we compress the left side body here, the more that we're massaging that descending colon. Start to use your right hand on the outside of your left thigh. Draw the left leg over and across the body, coming onto your right hip. Straighten that left arm, reaching it out, or bend the left elbow. Eye gaze looking past the left shoulder here. On your inhales, we send that breath all the way down to those deeper parts of our lungs. On our exhales, we add gentle pressure to the left leg to twist a little more. One more breath here. And then we release, coming onto the back, bending both knees. We once again find our wind removing pose, squeezing both thighs in toward the chest and rocking left to right. Continuing along with these hip postures, we're going to find half me baby. So first release both feet to the mat, and then lifting your right foot, start to bring your right hand to the right shin, the right ankle, or maybe to the bottom of the right foot. Option to use the strap here, bringing it along the bottom of that right foot and holding onto it with the hands. The point being to add gentle pressure to this right leg so that we can pull it down, bringing the right thigh parallel to our mat, opening the right hip. So if it's not comfortable for you to leave that left knee bent, you can also start to roll onto the outside edge of that left foot, trying like a bit of a half butterfly, or just straighten that left leg. Find a position that feels good to you. We're stamping the ceiling with the right foot, so keep that right foot pointed up toward the sky. And on your exhales, add a little bit more pressure, drawing that right thigh down toward the earth. Release your right foot back to the mat. Switch sides, bringing the left foot up to meet the hand, or left hand on the ankle, wherever. Half happy baby on the left side. We're stamping the ceiling with the left foot. And on our exhales, gently drawing that left thigh down toward the earth. One more breath. And then we release the left foot back to the mat. Windshield wiper the legs here, allowing the knees to fall right and to fall left. So third time, we're going to take another version of that modified pigeon pose. This time bringing the right foot on top of the left thigh and bringing both legs in toward the chest. Hopefully, being the third time we're coming into some version of this pose, you're open enough to hug both legs in toward the body, really amplifying the opening for the right hip and right glute. Keep reaching that right knee away from you as you use your exhales to draw both legs in toward the body. One more breath. And then we release the left foot to the mat, leaving the right leg where it is. We're actually going to keep sliding that right leg past to where the right knee comes and stacks over the left knee. So we're going to find a reclined shoelace pose. Just like in that seated position, we start to lift both feet from the mat, using our hands to grab onto opposite ankles. Trying to keep the knees in one line. On our exhale, we gently draw the legs, draw the ankles down toward the earth. Deep breath in. Exhale. Squeeze the legs in a little bit closer. And then release both feet back to the mat. Unwrap that right leg. Left foot coming on top of the right thigh. Figure 4 shape, and then lift both feet from the mat. Both legs coming in toward the chest and releasing the hands behind the right thigh. Gently reaching that left knee away from us. Hugging both legs in toward the body. One more breath. And then exhale, release the right foot to the mat. Leave the left foot where it is. Keep sliding that left leg across the right. And then grab onto opposite heels as your feet leave the mat. Find shoelace pose, other side. The knees in one line here. And then draw both thighs down toward the chest. Two more breaths here, yogis. And then release, unwrapping the left leg from the right, feet coming back to the mat. Come into that fetal position, rolling onto the right or the left side, doesn't matter. Eventually we're going to meet on our bellies. Take your time getting there, no rush. Bringing our elbows underneath the shoulders, we'll find a Sphinx pose. Forearms, hands pressing into the earth. We lift our chest, and then we start to dip the chin down toward the chest if that feels good here. Elongating the back of our spine. We're reaching the hips down toward the earth, allowing this gentle back bend to open up the lower part of our spine. Option to bring a block underneath the forehead. Take 3 breaths here. Remembering to really press away from the earth. Now we're not allowing ourselves to sink down into the shoulders. And then if you brought your forehead down to a block, go ahead and remove that and set it aside. We're going to start to bring the eye gaze over toward the right and past the right shoulder, trying to look behind us. And then slowly eye gaze looking over toward the other side, past the left shoulder, looking behind us. Come back to center. We're going to come down onto our chin. For this next posture, we bend our left knee, creating a 90-degree shape with that left leg. We want the knee in line with the left hip. And then we bring our left ear down to the mat, relaxing completely here. You can Bend the elbows, creating 2 goalposts with the arms, or just leave the arms down by your sides, whatever feels more comfortable to you. So both hips should be reaching down toward the earth, connected to the mat, so that we start to feel this left hip open up. Sorry about that, my doggy likes to protect us. Take one more breath here with this left knee bent, creating that 90-degree shape. And then we'll slowly start to straighten the left leg, bringing the left foot down to meet the right. We're going to come onto the chin, and then over to that right ear here. So now we bend this right knee, creating that 90-degree shape with that right leg, right knee in line with the right hip. Again, arms down at our sides or maybe elbows bent. So we relax completely here, feeling that right hip getting an opening here as we reach both hips toward the earth, keeping our pelvis flat on the mat. Try to stick with your breath, stick with that intention that you set at the beginning of your practice, knowing that you're almost to the finish line, almost to your reward, which is your Shavasana or corpse pose. We're making our way there. We've still got a good amount of hip openers and hip stretches to get through before we get there, yay. But just know that that is that finish line. It's what we're working towards, exhausting our body, so that we can rest the mind. So if you get that urge to get up and say, oh, well, I've had enough, come back to that intention, come back to your practice, committing to finishing what you've started. We'll start to come out of the pose, chin comes back to the mat, we straighten the right leg, both heels meet. We'll bend the knees here and start to reverse windshield wiper the legs, allowing the heels to fall toward the left and the right. Couple more breaths here, moving slowly or quickly, whatever feels good. And then we come onto the hands, pressing away from the earth, coming back to a tabletop position. Here we'll leave the hips stacked over the knees as we start to walk the hands forward, bringing the chest down toward the mat. We relax our chin onto the earth once more, or if you're really flexible in the spine, you can maybe bring the chin, the throat space down to the earth or the chest. Hands are reaching forward, palms are flat on the mat. Keep reaching the hips up toward the sky, keeping them stacked over the knees. And then we slowly slide forward, bringing the weight back into the hands, coming back to that tabletop position. So I've offered you 3 opportunities to take a modified pigeon. For this next posture, we'll take our full expression of pigeon. If you've had enough of this hip opener, you can certainly come down to your mat and start your Shavasana early. Otherwise, inhale that right leg high, one-legged tabletop, and on the exhale, right knee to nose, and drop that right foot down on the mat. We start to walk the right foot over behind the left wrist, bringing that right shin down to the earth, the right knee down to the mat. You can Use your left toes to walk that left knee back a little bit. We want to keep this left hip pointed forward. I know it wants to open up here. Bring it forward so the hips are squared toward the front of your mat. And then option to bring a towel or a block underneath that right glute if there's a gap there between the glute and the earth. So you can stay up high on the hands, or you can start to walk the hands forward, coming down to the elbows. Relax completely here. Surrendering to your mat, surrendering to the earth. Take 3 more breath cycles in whatever version of pigeon you find yourself in. And then if you came down into that forward fold in your pigeon, come back onto the hands. Tuck your left toes and scoot that left knee forward until you can take the weight into the hands here. And then send that right leg back. Inhale, left leg high, one-legged tabletop. Exhale, left knee to nose. Bring the left toes between the hands. And then walk that left foot behind that right wrist. Walking the right knee back a little bit. Again, that right hip wants to open toward the right side, so send it forward so that we're squaring the hips towards the top of our mat. Take a deep breath in. And exhale, release. If you did so on the other side, we'll fold forward over the left leg here. Notice where you're holding tension as soon as these postures start to become more challenging. Notice if you start to hold the breath. Imagine that breath, your inhales, being directed toward that left hip, creating space in the left hip, washing away any tension, any stickiness. And then on the exhale, sending that out away from your body, sinking a little bit deeper into this pose. We start to bring the weight back into the hands. Bring that right knee forward, taking the weight completely into the hands so we could shift back into our tabletop. Then we inhale that right leg up high, one-legged tabletop. Exhale, right knee over toward the right elbow and drop the right foot off and over the edge of your mat. Find your lizard lunge. Again, option to walk that left knee back a little bit, really allowing the right hip to open up. We can stay up high on the hands, or we can bring a block down below our elbows. Or maybe even bring our elbows down to the mat. Wherever you are, take at least 3 breath cycles here. Slow inhale, even slower exhale. From our lizard lunge, you could stay exactly where you are, or you can come back onto the hands and take an optional quad stretch. We start to bend our left knee, left toes point straight up toward the sky. Taking an active stretch or reaching back with the right hand, we twist and grab a hold of the top of the left foot. Gently drawing the left heel toward the left glute. Gently amplifying the stretch for the left quad. Deep breath in. On the exhale, draw the left heel a little closer. One more breath cycle here. And then release the left foot to the mat. Right hand comes back to the earth. And we shift the weight back, taking a funky half split. So the right heel stays exactly where it is. We're stacking this left hip over the left knee, hands on the mat or on a set of blocks to elevate and keep that spine nice and strong and straight. Deep breath in. Exhale, maybe fold forward a little more. Keep the right toes pointed up toward the sky. And then bringing the weight back to the hands, right knee comes back to tabletop. We'll inhale the left leg high, other side. Bring the left knee over toward the left elbow and drop the foot down off the edge of your mat. Find your lizard lunge. Settling down into the same version of the pose that you did on the other side. Maybe bringing the elbows down on top of a block. Deep breath in, visualizing that breath going toward that left hip and creating space, washing away the tightness. On the exhales, we release and send that away from our body. Try to keep the left foot flat on the mat rather than letting it roll onto the outside edge of the foot. We come back to the hands for that optional quad stretch if you want it. Bending the right knee, right toes point up toward the sky, a bit of an active stretch. Or reach the left hand back, grab a hold of the right foot, and draw the right glute in, the right heel in toward the right glute. Deep breath in, pressing away at the mat with the right hand. And we exhale, drawing that right heel toward the right glute. Release that right foot back to the mat, left hand coming back underneath you. And we shift the weight back, straightening the left leg, left toes pointing straight up toward the sky. We find that half splits, funky half splits, on the other side. On the inhale, chin reaching forward, elongating the spine, and on the exhale, maybe coming down a little bit further. One more breath. And then we'll start to come out of the pose, meeting back in our tabletop. Come onto your bottom, coming to face the wall once more. We're going to find our way back into legs up the wall, the same posture that we started our practice with. If you would prefer a more traditional Shavasana, find corpse pose with your legs out straight, heels touching and the toes falling out toward the left and the right. Otherwise, we'll all meet in legs up the wall, heels relaxing on the wall and allowing all of that blood to drain down toward the hips once more. Noticing how this posture feels differently here at the end of our practice versus at the beginning. Again, we can bring that left hand to our left heart or to our heart and that right hand to our belly. And on the inhales, we feel our chest rise. On our exhales, we feel that belly reaching down toward the earth. So whatever your intention was, maybe you accomplished it, maybe you feel like you didn't. Whatever the case may be, we're going to start to just feel gratitude here. Gratitude toward our bodies and toward ourselves for having the discipline to roll out our mat at home and get through this practice. We're going to start to feel gratitude for the ability to be able to move our body physically, not having to deal with physical limitations that keep us from practicing yoga. We'll feel gratitude for the space that we're in, being thankful for the roof that we have over our head, and for having everything that we need. Start to notice where you're still holding on to physical tension. Is it in between the eyebrows? If so, relax the forehead, relax your face. If you're holding tension in the jaw, begin to open and close the mouth, moving the jaw left and right. Release any tension that you're holding in the shoulders here and in the neck, maybe in the belly or in the hips. Relax your legs completely, relaxing the toes, the ankles, the feet. We want to lie heavy on the mat, allowing ourselves to get to 10 breath cycles without allowing the mind to wander. Allowing ourselves to embrace this stillness and this quiet. So yogis, please do stay here for as long as you need. I want to thank you for allowing me to guide you through your practice this evening. And thank you for being a part of YogaZo. I hope to catch you on the mat again soon, maybe out in the community or again on one of our live stream classes. From the bottom of my heart to yours, namaste. Have a great rest of your week and weekend. Bye, yogis.